Nice. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. How does that sound, huh? Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much they can save you today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Ho, ho, ho. Merry freaking Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, how are you guys doing on this wonderful holiday season?
Fabulosa.
Fabulosa. You speak Spanish?
Yes, a little.
Mm.
Can you?
Can you? Yes, sí. Sí. Por supuesto. BK, do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito.
Un poquito, huh?
Mi papá es de Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Oh.
But yeah, my Spanish, I can find the bathroom and order a meal and ask for the check.
Baño.
What about a beer?
I can order a cerveza
There you go.
or a margarita.
Oh, okay. Variety of alcoholic beverages.
Eggnog. I don't know.
So how are you guys doing? Are you guys got your Christmas shopping done?
Pretty much.
Really?
Pretty much.
BK, there's no way you have.
No, but this is a years long
Or just holiday
running
shopping
thing
of course.
with my wife, and she's like, I just want things to be calm in our life, and I'm like, I can't wrap
Look
that and
who
put
you
it in
married.
a box. Well, there's that part too. And I'm like, and we have little kids and a teenager, and so there's that, and stressful jobs and all of the stuff. So anyway, I got some more stuff in mind that I'm going to acquire for her. I don't do it the way our pal Mark Schlereth, who says he doesn't even ever think about anything until Christmas Eve, and then it's a game to him. But I do still get a lot of shopping done on Christmas Eve, just because I do good with deadlines.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of like Mark. I still have to do my shopping. So today
I did it.
and then tomorrow. But Christmas Eve is a really good time to shop. So everyone out there, if you're still waiting to do your Christmas shopping, hopefully you get that done today. Just want to give a shout out to Cedric saying, "What's up, everyone?" And he's also saying, "And what's up, Cozy Liv?"
I wore my pajamas again.
Yeah,
apparently.
Cozy, it's fine.
Well, you tied one on last
Well, I
night.
couldn't even tell with your
Yeah,
pants.
well,
Look
I'm-
like you're blending into the couch because they're
It
camo.
looks like I'm not wearing pants, actually. Yeah.
It's amazing.
You
Technically,
don't
I'm
have
not.
legs,
Shoes and a
actually.
shirt. Where are her legs?
Yeah, no, I wore a comfy outfit today because I'm feeling a little under the weather. As you can hear in my voice, I sound like a dude.
Well, you earned it.
I mean, I guess.
Did you have a couple cervezas or margaritas last night?
No margaritas. To be honest, I don't behave very well off tequila.
Okay.
So it was a family friendly, family, friends coming over for a little, mixed drink. I actually, believe it or not, did not really drink that much.
Well,
Just
we're
wasn't-
happy you were able to pull yourself out of bed and get here today.
I did my best
to talk all things football. I kind of just want to go over a little bit of the kind of the leftovers of the Chargers game. BK, as the dust has settled on that game, what are your thoughts? I mean, I know there's some people questioning Sean Payton's play calling. There was that kick at the end of the first half on that crazy thing that hadn't happened in 50 years on that rule. And then there was a lack of focus on the running game in the second half, and the Broncos defense weren't able to kind of hold up their end of the bargain. What are your thoughts at the end of as the dust has settled, BK?
Well, I'll echo the thoughts of Sean Payton, who met the media yesterday. They've shifted their week up, sort of, work week. Coaches were in yesterday, and so Sean did what would normally be his Monday Zoom phone call on Sunday. So he did that yesterday. Their players are still off today, though. And then tomorrow is Wednesday. Wednesday's Thursday. Thursday's Friday. And then they get on a plane on Friday to play Saturday. But so the players still got not only the couple days off, they get Monday off, too.
Little mini bye.
But when he was asked about on his play call sheet, it said run it real big. And he addressed that yesterday, saying that in the first half, they obviously did a really good job of running it. He goes, in the second half, there are a couple series. He said he does stuff like that as a reminder, but he was kicking himself because they didn't run it or the type of run wasn't as effective. And that was obvious when you score 21 points on your first 3 drives. And we haven't seen that, I'm sure, since Peyton Manning's been here, where they come out 1, 2, 3 with 3 touchdown drives. To not go back to that or not be able to figure out how to get that run game going, because
why do you think he didn't go back to it, Brandon?
Well, if you don't convert on third down, like he always talks about, but if your first down run doesn't work, or even if your first down pass isn't long enough and your second down run doesn't work, then you're in third and long. And I think that contributed to it. But I think he just anyone that has a successful passing game, like we saw with Peyton Manning forever in Indy and here, you're like, well, you just get the ball farther down the field throwing.
Yeah. Do you think, Liv, that's kind of his, like, he just wants to throw the ball because he's Sean Payton?
Yeah, I think he's pass happy for sure.
Yeah.
And I think he's got that. He's got those commitment issues to the run game, unfortunately. But in all fairness, I don't blame him because our run game throughout the entire season so far hasn't really been all that reliable. I mean, I certainly don't feel like we're a powerhouse on the ground, like whatsoever. I mean, Javonte Williams has a few good games in there. We've heard Sean Payton flirt with the idea of using Audric Estime more, but the only reason we saw that against the Chargers was there was no Jaleel. We've heard him say he wants to use Estime more. We haven't actually seen that until this game. So there was also a little bit of like experimenting going on in this game, not having Jaleel, using Audric Estime a little more. I think the biggest disappointment in the run game and the reason why Sean Payton maybe doesn't feel confident in it to use it that often is Javonte Williams.
Yeah, he doesn't look like himself.
No, I think
He only did once, right? The Saints game was about the only game.
That was
like,
literally his best performance all year. And then
BK, as you continue to turn your head, I'm noticing glitter in your mustache. Do you know why there's glitter in your mustache?
No, news to me.
I'm just telling you got this. Where did you come from? You said you came from.
I just dropped the kids at the
Are you sure
Children's
that's where you
Museum.
were?
Yeah, I was at the
Okay.
Children's
yeah,
Museum.
wait, what's going on, BK?
Oh yeah, glitter in his mustache rides for you this morning?
No.
Well, all right.
Pretty low key.
What about okay, in hindsight? So to me, I'm watching this game, and the Broncos in the first half energetically were awesome. Second half, not so much. It wasn't just that the run game didn't work. Why did the run game not work? Why did things not work in the second half? Why did both the running game on offense and then the defense sputter in the second half? These guys were tired. They didn't look up for the moment.
Yeah.
Sean Payton raised his hand and flexed them into the Thursday night game with a very young team, one of the youngest teams in the league. Do you think that was a mistake in hindsight? Do you think they might have been a little too tired or too beat up for this game? Because a couple of the guys alluded to as much in the locker room after the fact, kind of like, yeah, short week. It was hard. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
I mean, I think obviously hindsight's 2020, and if Sean could go back now, he may not elect the Broncos to get their game flexed to a primetime spot. But I also think when you have a young team that's finally getting a winning culture after so many years of not having a winning culture, they need to play in primetime games when they're tired, and they need to figure out how to win because it's going to happen.
So does that mean like you're not really worried about this year? This is about building this team for the years to come. Priming them in moments like this to learn these tough lessons and get tougher in the years to follow, not so much as to make a Super Bowl run this year.
I don't think they're making a Super Bowl run this year. No, I don't. I think that they've set themselves up for success, and I think that they have obviously the capability to be a playoff team. But I think this was, I mean, we have to kind of give the credit where it's due in the sense that this was kind of Sean Payton's first year where he could actually coach without also being a cleaning lady.
Yeah.
Like he was able to actually do what he wanted to do without having to pick up other people's messes before he could implement the coaching that he wanted to. So for them to be in the position they're in right now, given the circumstances, is very, very impressive. But I mean, I don't want to say that it's off the table that they could make it to the Super Bowl, but I certainly don't think it's going to happen this year. I think more than anything, that Thursday night game was a good eye opener for this team, perhaps.
Well, and you think about the team that you're chasing, that everybody's chasing, and they won again yesterday in the Kansas City Chiefs. They're playing a game on 6 of the 7 days of the week, probably for the first time in NFL history that a team will have played
everything but Tuesday. That's the one day the NFL doesn't own yet.
Yeah, and they
will eventually.
Look, there were some Tuesday games in 2020 because of COVID, because of how they had to shift things around. But in general, there aren't Tuesday games on the schedule unless Christmas falls on a Tuesday, and the setup for that's probably going to include either Saturday, Wednesday games before it, or 2 Thursday games, because it does work out well. And obviously they have the scheduling matrix that they just flip the teams, mix and match who played Saturday with the Ravens, Steelers, Texans, and Chiefs. And so the cool thing about it is not only are they better teams typically that you're going to want to see in those windows, you're getting to see it twice because they're all playoff type teams, first place teams that you're going to mix and match those schedules anyway, because some of those teams are going to have to play each other, or good teams in the same division. So we're going to keep seeing these games on whatever day of the week. Obviously next year, Christmas will be on a Friday. Oh no, this year was leap year. So
So do you feel good about Sean
Thursday.
Payton kind of volunteering for this in the hopes of building this team
Well,
for the years to come?
and that was sort of the point, because he said it a couple of times last week. He's like, "Look, we're gonna play. You want to play in these odd timed games. You
Yeah.
don't want to just play Sundays at
You want the
2:25
smoke,
or
you got to handle
2:05."
the smoke.
Yeah,
Right.
and so, but I think it's twofold. I think it's that and Sean kind of being Sean, like, oh, the team that was in there was Bengals and Browns. The games in there, the Bengals being the upcoming opponent. So now we can maybe go steal a win on a short week, because the guys don't overthink it that we lost them the first time. Let's go out there. We're playing good football. They've been struggling. Not that he knew that when he said yes to it, but knew he wanted to keep momentum going. And then we get a little bit longer break. The Bengals have a shorter week, so we will be more well recovered for that trip to Cincinnati after Christmas and all of that. So I think that it was him, trying to outsmart, if you will. And I don't want to use it like that, but like acknowledging, oh, we can get more rest. They'll have less rest.
So, any concerns about the Broncos defense right now? Because the Broncos defense, top 3 defense all year long. However, in this game against the Chargers, gave up 380 yards, 263 through the air. That's not crazy. 117 on the ground. That's not crazy. But weren't able to kind of come up with those big plays, those turnovers that they had been making to help bail out this Broncos offense. Because let's be honest, the Broncos offense is the weakness of this team right now. As much focus as we put on Bo and Sean Payton's play calling and all that, the defense has been carrying the team in a lot of ways, and the Broncos special teams has been putting them in positions to score and creating short fields. Are we worried about the defense kind of losing steam at the end of the season?
I don't know about losing steam, but I think in order for this defense to like solidify themselves as one of the best, you have to be the best against the best. We've seen our defense. I would say my 2 least favorite games by our defense were against the Ravens and the Chargers, 2 very great offenses. So
both coached by
kind of
Harbaugh.
3 games, because both games against the Chargers owned them on third down in that
Right.
first game here.
So when they're playing against these high power offenses and they're unable to maintain that level of greatness, you don't want that. It's like how I used to talk about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott against a bottom 10 defense looks like a top 10 quarterback, but against a top 10 defense, he looks like a bottom 10 quarterback. So you don't want a defense that, depending on who they're playing, it's that big of a jump. And again, I wouldn't say that the game against the Chargers was horrible for our defense. To be honest with you, I was more embarrassed by the fact that the offense couldn't do anything in the second half, because there's probably a world where our defense is, I wouldn't say they're sick of it or they're angry about it or whatever, but they've cut our offense a lot of breaks this season that either weren't taken advantage of or didn't transpire into anything. And so our defense has been they've been clocking a lot of minutes on that field throughout this season.
That's the thing. It's the minutes in that
exhausting.
game that is hard, because when you don't, we talk about offensive play calling in a vacuum there, as if, the only people that are affected are the offense. No, the defense is affected by your play calling, because when you can't run the football, you can't pick up first downs, they're right back on the field.
Yeah, they don't have
And then
much
these
time
long
off.
drives that are sustained by the Chargers really wear them down. Broncos go 3 and out, and they're back on the field again. Bo Nix was 29 of 40 in the game, and so he took off a couple times. So they did over 40 dropbacks and only designed 21 runs. Actually, fewer than that. Audric Estime had 9 carries. Javonte Williams had 4. Blake Watson had 4. Marvin Mims had 1. So amongst the actual ball carriers, 18 carries, and that's it. So I think that's ultimately why he said run it on his freaking play sheet there.
Right.
He's trying to remind himself to not do exactly what he ended up doing. He got caught up in the moment. One more thing from this game I want to talk about, BK. That last kick of the first half. Sean Payton spoke and was eager to dispel any sort of narrative around that play, and wanted to remind people that, or at least tell people that it didn't change the momentum.
Yeah, he said that yesterday. He said that we came out in the second half, we got the ball, went down and kicked the field goal. So we were back up 11, which is what the margin was before that fluky play at the end that we haven't seen in nearly 50 years. But maybe if you don't give them any life at all, I'm not saying that you then go down and score a touchdown, but they're even more discouraged with just the 10 points at halftime. Not that that's how all NFL teams are, but just like, man, this may not be our day. They're just marching the ball all over the field, and maybe they don't come out and make the plays that they make in the second half. There's a couple weird kind of statistical, I don't say anomalies, but I guess that's what they are. The Chargers turn the ball over once, Broncos 0 turnovers. So most times stats will tell you when you win the turnover battle, even just by 1, you're going to win the game. If it's by 2 or more, you almost always win that game. And the Broncos had the ball for 5 more minutes than the Chargers. They had it for 32-23 to 27-37. And a lot of that did come early with those really long first 3 drives, because in the second half, the defense was out there a bunch. And that's when the Chargers picked up most of their time of possession. But I understand what Sean's saying. That didn't affect momentum, but it's hard to deny that those 3 points and that flukiness of it wasn't weird at the end of the half. It kind of took a little wind out of their sails.
What about like the blame put on Sean Payton for that moment, that his poor coaching led to that kick being made at the end of that first half?
I don't have a problem with it because you're playing so well offensively. And you're like, we pick up a first down, we take a medium shot, get a PI call. We have the timeouts, so we're in field goal range, and we can add 3 more points. So if it's like 20 seconds or less, it was 41 seconds when they got it, and you see how it goes. And I guess the play calling itself can certainly be scrutinized, but I don't have a problem with not just taking a knee there.
I have zero problem with it. I mean, sometimes stuff happens when a rule is exercised that hasn't been done in 50 years. It's not like you can blame the coach for that. In my opinion, there was a confluence of factors. Of course, you're trying to pick up yardage, and yeah, 45 seconds is plenty of time in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes only needs like 9 to get down
Maybe
the
even
field.
3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. Number 2, you don't expect your guy to run into the returner. And this is one of your best special teams players, a guy who's been around and made a mistake. That stuff happens. Sometimes, look, Sean Payton's a very intelligent coach. There are very few people in the world who are as smart as he is football-wise. And sometimes the football gods are smarter, man, and stuff just happens. Like you get you can't predict and prepare for every single thing.
Situation.
Exactly. And sometimes like factors just contribute to something happening, and you hope you're on the right side of that. And not the wrong side. And on that instance, the Broncos were on the wrong side. Hindsight's 20/20.
It is. And now, don't get me wrong. If the offense in the second half were to light it up like they did in the first half, and the difference between the Chargers and the Broncos was 3 points or something, then you could kind of go down to it and be like, okay, where did they go? Like, were there missed opportunities by Sean Payton to make this better, or whatever? Or where did the momentum switch that it shouldn't have? And that was the one thing that went wrong. But really, I'm not sure you can pinpoint one thing. I mean, they just did not show up in the second half. So,
well, they scored 24 unanswered, if my math is right.
They did outscore them. No, not 24 unanswered, but
they got from
They outscored them 21-6 in the second half.
But 21 of those were unanswered because field goal, 21 points.
You said 24.
Yeah, my math was wrong on that.
Yeah,
21.
So,
unanswered.
but don't, when you're trying to redo the art, don't act like you didn't say the first thing you said. I can see that that's what you do.
Switched up, which was great. That's what just crazy.
How psychopathic is that switch up? Well, sociopath.
21 unanswered. Pretty good.
That is really good.
Or bad for
It's like
Broncos
we didn't
team.
forget what you just said 2 minutes ago.
No.
Actually,
could you throw that comment by William Hayes up there? Denver defense is great when they run man-to-man, and they suck when they play zone. Quit putting it all on the rookie.
I don't think we did put it all on the
No,
rookie.
he's not saying we. Just I think in general, like like
I was like William.
no, like on. I think you mean Bo Nix, right? As a rookie.
Yeah.
But
Like
you got to be able to play both on defense. You got to be able to play man and zone. And so, Riley Moss is out and he's missed. But Chris Abrams-Drain didn't play bad, did he?
No, I thought he actually played pretty well. I didn't see how PFF graded him, but it wasn't as egregious.
Nobody cares.
It wasn't as egregious as obviously what we saw from Levi Wallace against the Browns by any means. And so I think that Chris Abrams-Drain has been fine, and you could tell. I think he's been a pleasant surprise. I think some of his coaches have said as much.
Yeah,
and that's good to know because you need cornerback depth. But the hope is that Riley Moss can go this week and against a team that has the best 1-2 wide receiver combo in the league with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah, and a pretty decent quarterback. I mean,
I think one of the best quarterbacks.
We're going to get into that in a second. I do want to mention one more thing from the game because Sean Payton talked about the officiating. And
they missed a face mask, obviously.
Well, he alluded subtly to the idea that it was being tilted against him. He said it's not the first time we've seen it. Do you think the league has an axe to grind with Sean Payton and that they don't like him, so they call the game in a manner that does not favor him?
I don't. I'm not saying that there aren't certain people at the league that may not like him, or in the officiating office, or even officials that he hasn't necessarily gotten along with.
So everyone hates him, but
I don't think it's all officials across the board are like, you know what? There's Sean Payton. Screw that guy. This is going to be a tough day for the Broncos.
Yeah.
Things happen fast in the NFL.
Mhm.
And it'd be one thing if egregious penalties were missed over and over and over because, like, no, we didn't see it. But a face mask on a stiff arm as the player's being horse collared, it was clearly missed, but refs aren't always in the best position.
The offensive stiff arm face mask is a tricky one because we were always taught you can hit him in the face mask.
Yeah.
You just can't grab it. But I can smack you right there.
And he was kind of like,
yeah, and if it makes you lift
Yeah.
over, but I'm not actually curling my fingers around the face mask, that's still technically legal.
Wasn't there
I
a
guess?
little bit of finger curl though?
There could have been, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, a little
Slight.
knuckle curl there.
can we not do that hand motion?
Go
For the rest of the show?
Come on, Horn Frogs. It's your thing.
Can we not do the
Yeah,
knuckle
but you guys were
curl?
doing it like so subtle, like it was like the
Because it was
creepiest.
subtle. Here,
What was the subtle
where's the
knuckle?
face mask? There's a helmet right behind you.
Yeah.
So it wasn't totally flat, but it was like, there was
Well, that should be face mask.
that's a face mask. But
Yeah.
it wasn't that. It was like that.
One finger.
Finger or two, maybe two fingers.
2 fingers.
Dear God.
All right. So either way, the Broncos, had a really great opportunity there to punch their ticket to the playoffs and to make these next 2 games not as important as they clearly are going to be now. But let's move on to their opponent, the Cincinnati Bengals. 7-8 right now on a 3-game heater. And I'm going to make a little concession here. Joe Burrow, pretty good. Pretty good.
He's having an MVP level season.
He is.
Here's this is not a hot take at all.
They make the playoffs, he's going to win it.
No, I was gonna say if the Bengals had this much of a better record, I think Joe Burrow would be leading
Oh yeah.
everything in MVP votes. He would be the favorable MVP choice right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
But
went off.
unfortunately, it's not translating to wins. So I just don't think people really care and or are even paying attention to how great he is this season. He looks great, but
Yeah,
They're
leading the
also-
league in passing yards, in touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, 68.9 completion percent. Not tops in the league, but right up there. The only problem is they have a losing record.
right. That is it's literally that simple. If they would have done any better this season, even by just a little bit, the MVP would be Joe Burrow's.
But he can still get it if they knock off the Broncos. BK, can you go over the playoff implications here for the Broncos? If Broncos win any of the next 2 games, they're in. But they can still make it in if they lose both games. If the Bengals lose,
Well, Bengals, Colts, and
the
Bengals have
Dolphins-
to lose to them, so that'll automatically get them in.
Right.
So if the Bengals lose next week.
That's what I mean. If the Bengals beat them this week and then lose the following week, the Broncos would be in. The Broncos would be in if the Colts even win out. The Broncos would still be in because they beat the
They're
Colts
tiebreaker there.
head to head. What about the Dolphins? If the Dolphins win out and the Broncos lose out,
That's a great question. I haven't seen who has that tiebreaker, but obviously they're still alive.
because the Dolphins are 7-8, the Bengals are 7-8,
Here, I
and the
can figure
Colts
it out.
are 7-8. The Broncos; those are the 3 teams that are kind of in the hunt right now.
And so your tiebreakers are, first thing is division record, which matters if you're up against a team in your division. Then it's conference record. So how did you do against the AFC? The Broncos, we know, dominated the NFC this year other than Seattle. They won the NFC South 4-0 against the NFC South.
Yeah.
5-5 against the AFC. Miami also 5-5. So then you go to strength of win. So it's your opponent's schedule.
Not good with the Broncos.
Well, the Broncos is actually better than the
Oh,
Dolphins, though.
okay, good.
Their wins, they're at 0.336. The Dolphins are 0.295.
Okay.
And then strength of schedule, their schedule is actually stronger now, 0.469 to 0.442. The Broncos still have the Chiefs on their schedule, too. Technically, that hasn't happened with the Bengals continuing to win.
Right.
So the Broncos are still in and still certainly control their own destiny. But tiebreakers, unlike last year, which weren't in their favor, to Houston, to Cleveland. I guess Houston won the division, but to Cleveland and some of the other teams that were ahead of them, they're in a much better position because of just those factors at this point.
Well, it's going to be a tough game getting out there. If you thought the Chargers were going to be a tough game, the Bengals see blood in the water right now. They were 4-8 at one point. The Bengals are now 7-8, and well, not really in control of their own destiny, not like the Broncos are. But Joe Burrow leading the league in passing. Jamar Chase leading the league in receiving.
Yeah,
he's got 108 catches for 1,510 yards and 16 touchdowns. That's like
I'd pay him if I was Paul Brown, but that's just me.
That's like my senior year
Yeah,
of
right.
college.
Or Mike Brown.
That's like my senior year of college stats, but I did it in 10 games. So,
But take that, Jamar.
Small little flex there.
Well, I was also not playing against NFL players at that time. But
Still impressive.
Jamar Chase is having,
He's also having an MVP.
yeah, an
level
MVP
season. I mean,
season's hard
so
to.
that's why it does not. It literally, when I jokingly say about the Bengals that they are arguably the most talented losers in the NFL, I
Yep.
mean that because when you have a Joe Burrow that's having an MVP level season and you have Jamar Chase on the same team having an MVP level season, it really nothing about the Bengals has made sense this year. It really does not make sense that they're not translating to wins because they're playing their best football.
They also have
So-
the league leader in sacks. Trey Hendrickson's got 13.5 sacks.
So it just doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, something's got to give. Like, what's their problem? What are they doing wrong here? I think it's got to be a team.
They've given up plenty of yards
Yeah, defensively.
defensively. They've given up plenty of scores as defense. Yeah, they're bottom 6 and the 6th worst in terms of touchdowns allowed.
And yards as well. They're giving up 360, 231 in through the air, 128 on the ground. So
They only have
Yeah,
14 takeaways, so they're not taking the ball away at all.
yeah. And offensively, though, they are absolutely. Well, I mean, they're only they're 10th, in like yardage.
What's interesting is that as good as Trey Hendrickson is, nobody else is getting to the quarterback.
Yeah,
They are 6th worst in getting to the quarterback, only 30
they
sacks.
got one guy doing
Yeah,
it.
one guy's doing it all, and the rest of them are not, because he's getting plenty of attention and still getting home, and the rest of the team isn't helping him out. So their pass rush isn't good. They're not taking the ball away. They're giving up plenty of yards. I guess I haven't seen what they're doing on the ground in terms of rush defense, but they just aren't good. And we understand people have kind of been joking about the Broncos' no-name defense beyond Pat Surtain and Nick Benito, but other than Trey Hendrickson, and I happen to know Sam Hubbard because I was playing with the Bengals on Madden the other day. I can't name
How much Madden do you play?
I usually play 1 game a week,
Okay.
maybe 2.
Do you play against someone
No,
or
I
just
play
somebody
against the computer, or if my
against the computer?
my 18-year-old.
Do you talk shit to the computer?
No, not usually.
How many bad names have you called the TV when you play Madden?
I don't get that mad because it's not that important to me.
If you were playing against your friend, would you guys get heated?
The last time I played against someone was Shelby Harris, and he beat me like 70-6. So
Wow.
it wasn't. He's a good player, and I wasn't good. I played once on my
How
online.
And it wouldn't be smart to call
70-6?
Shelby any names over a
Yeah, I
game.
wouldn't go.
What went wrong for you in that game?
Couldn't pick up 3rd downs.
Sounds like the Broncos.
Yeah, I just couldn't pick
Did
up
you
3rd
have
downs.
run it on your play sheet? I mean, were you committed to the
I
run?
just had
enough?
to get a 1st down.
What was Shelby's game like that made him so good and you so bad?
I don't know. I can't answer it. If I could have figured it out or cared enough, I would.
Do you think that represents?
I also beat Chris Dempsey like that one, so at his house.
Do you think that represents the actual disparity in football knowledge between you and Shelby?
Maybe. I mean, he's been in the NFL for 12 years,
Right.
but I don't know if it's as great as a 70-6
Yeah.
down was.
I mean, maybe means Shelby needs to find another hobby.
Well, or enter some Madden tournaments. You'll get some more cash.
You can get shot doing that though. Make some little gamers mad. They'll come back and get you.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
the
thank you.
more organized big ones.
I
like
know.
Madden
No,
does.
there was like a shooting at a like.
Oh,
a-
really?
Yeah,
didn't
this
see
dude
that story.
lost a Madden tournament and like came back and like shot a dude while he was playing in the game.
I did not see that story.
BTW, just in case you guys care. Tank Dell. I'm sure you
Yeah.
guys saw his
Oh.
injury.
Yeah.
Dislocated knee. They've just now revealed that it's an ACL tear as well.
Again.
Oh my
Is that the same knee?
gosh.
Different knee?
I have no idea. But
Did you
I
guys
just
watch
got
that
the
game?
notification about it. I did. I
That-
did
I-
watch.
Credit
bits
to
and
that kid
pieces.
for he was having a monster game, and credit him for holding on to that catch
I know he had a
Unbelievable.
late season leg injury last year too.
Mhm.
against the Broncos.
Wow, poor guy, man.
On like
really
a,
big bummer.
At the
I think
end of
that's
the
why
season-
CJ Stroud was so visibly emotional.
well, I think
when
he's like his
Tank
best
Dell-
friend too.
Yeah, there
The
was like a
rookies.
quote of him saying like that's literally one of my best friends, and I didn't want to see his season end this way again.
Yeah.
Like I think CJ Stroud really had a lot of sympathy for him in that moment. Like, he was genuinely sad about it, but you hate to see stuff like that. Especially back-to-back seasons.
Well, this is that time in the season too when like guys who've contributed all season long get hurt and don't get to finish the race.
Yeah.
They don't get to go to the playoffs. They don't get to play in the most important games. It's pretty devastating. I've been that guy before. There's no worse feeling to go through the off season starting in late March, early April, every day with your teammates, going through it, training camp, preseason, the front half of the season, and then in November or December, you have an injury and you have to watch everybody finish it.
Yeah.
And stand on the sidelines for
David Chow, who is a noted longtime Chargers team doc and has plenty to say about injuries on social media and obviously pretty well informed, said that a knee dislocation is much worse than just a kneecap or a patella dislocation, like when we saw Patrick Mahomes' kneecap go sideways here, and then, and he was playing the next week. But it means multiple ligaments torn and a long road to recovery.
Dang. Well,
So
one thing
hopefully
you
he gets-
can count on is these guys are, have the best medical care, and they're the fittest members of our species. They're going to heal as fast as possible.
Mhm.
They're going to get excellent care.
Hope so.
The difficult part is when you get hurt when you're no longer playing football and you don't have those doctors around, Like what happens when Joe Schmo has that type of injury? How does his life change when his job isn't his body? What do you do then? You're going to be limping for the rest of your life. The good thing about Tank Dell is he's going to have people getting him all the way back, hopefully back to 100%. And he's a smaller guy, so he's going to heal a little bit better, from that. We hope so. Prayers for Tank Dell on a speedy recovery. How would you guys like to get through the holidays, though, without making a mortgage payment? How does that sound? I think that sounds pretty good, don't you? Go to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you refinance your home and not have to make any payments until February, right, BK?
Yeah,
February.
Exactly. February.
Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments, guys. And right now, they'll cover the cost of the appraisal. That's about a $650 cost. They'll cover that. And so just head on over to trustedamerican.com or scan the QR code right there. On the screen to see how much money they can save you guys today. Trustedamerican.com.
Booyah.
All right. So what happens, guys, if, and I don't want to be pessimistic here, but I do remember I was on a team in 2008. We were 8-5. All we had to do was win one of the last 3 games, and we were into the playoffs.
And
We
you
lost all 3. Coach Shanahan got fired. McDaniels came in. We all got let go. The face of the organization was changed for years because of really a late season collapse that we had. And I talked about being on the sideline and having to watch that. I did get hurt that year at the end of the season and had to watch that. It was brutal. But I remember being around the locker room and at that time, I could feel this tide coming. It was actually a horrible feeling because we had this Bills game on the second to last game, and everyone felt we were like they sucked and we were good. But they were coming. What's that?
There was a snowstorm.
There was a snowstorm, and I thought it was here.
It was
Yeah, it
here.
was
The
here.
snowstorm happened, and the Bills had to stay in town Sunday night because I saw a bunch of them at a strip club.
Is that where you got the glitter on your mustache?
No.
What's going on
No,
here, dude?
in my younger days, I hit strip clubs more frequently than I do now.
How often are you doing now? Just on
I don't
Monday
know.
mornings, huh?
Yeah, just I've probably been to one in the last 2 years.
Which
No,
one?
2, because we went to one in Minnesota, me and Jason.
Okay. I doth protest too much. So I could feel it.
You asked, I was being honest.
Yeah, no. Keep going. Just
I'm done.
overshare.com.
I'm done.
.com. Throw that in there, please.
So I could feel this tide coming over the team where it was like you knew what was at stake, and for whatever reason, like it felt like we were going to lose. And I just hope that the Broncos avoid that. And so how do you avoid sort of that energetic letdown at the end of a season when the stakes are high? Is it just about the guys you have in the room? Is it about the coaching? Is it about the messaging? What's it going to take to get these guys to play their best game against the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday? What would be the speech you give the team, Liv?
Well, I'd start the speech by saying you should have won that damn game.
There you go.
Start there. All right. I think what's interesting is that the loss to the Chargers was not the result of them being in my opinion, the Chargers being better than the Broncos from a skill perspective. I think the Broncos had what it took to beat the Chargers. They just lost their steam and their energy. So I think that's the approach that they have to have going into this Bengals game was like, we know we can play better and we will play better. We got more rest this week. There's no excuses. So not really letting yourself go into victim mode, because at the end of the day, I don't think that the Chargers are that much of a better football team than the Broncos. The Broncos just didn't show up in the second half. So I think them really riding on the fact that they got a little extra sleep this week is going to be key.
Yep.
Because now there really are no excuses. Like, you can't be outperformed in the second half because you're tired and you lost momentum.
You can't plan ahead, but there's certainly a scenario where we find out on Wednesday that the Chiefs clinch the number 1 seed if they beat the Steelers, and that doesn't mean that they're not going to come to Denver and play their starters, because I do think, knowing they'll have that week off, you will see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and their offense in the first half.
Yeah,
but it almost feels exclusive, or like a certainty that you will see Carson Wentz in the second half, and probably no Travis Kelce. And if Pacheco's healthy, then probably less Pacheco, more P. Ryan, and the kid with the long hair who's got the alligator in his house in Indiana, whose name I can't remember, 42. That tailback, kid with the long blonde hair, who's in
alligator in his house.
Yeah, he has an alligator in his house. They did a whole thing on it on one of the Thursday night games. I mean, they're on TV every week. So,
like in his house?
Yeah, literally, like in a bedroom, there's an alligator. Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Don't look it up. I don't want.
Whatever.
What are you gonna?
I was gonna show you.
What you gonna show? Hold up the computer.
I think it's odd that a kid that's from Indiana.
Sure. Anyway, just use your brain and tell us the story.
But you know what I'm talking about? Their 4th running back.
Don't look it up.
I just don't know his name.
It
doesn't matter. He'll play a lot. Nonetheless, you can't plan ahead for what the Chiefs might do. You need to take care of your business, and you're kind of jockeying for position, even though you don't have tiebreakers with with any of the teams ahead of you. If you win more games, you will be ahead of the Ravens, Steelers, or Chargers, depending on how. Yep. Like that Steelers loss, I think, vaults the Ravens into first place because as it stands right now, they're 10-5.
They're both 10-5.
They're both 10-5, so that would make them obviously that would make the Steelers 10-6.
So the Steelers are. Yeah, so the Steelers are going to be a wild card team,
right? And if the Broncos have the same record as the Steelers have the tiebreaker. But if the Broncos were to get to 11-6, and the Steelers were to finish 10-7, the Broncos then leapfrog them. So the Broncos are going to Houston. They're going to Baltimore potentially if the Chargers finish 5th. So playoff seeding matters, and if you're trying to get to 5th because you want to play Houston, you have to keep winning. At the same time, we do know that PS2 is going to be on Jamar Chase. You have to think.
Yeah. Whew, that's going to be fun.
And then maybe that means Riley Moss is going wherever T. Higgins goes, and they're just.
Is Riley going to be back?
That's the hope. Yeah. That was the expectation. But
I tore my MCL, and it was wobbly. I came back after 4 weeks, and for the next 4 weeks, it did not feel right. And I didn't have to be covering guys. It was different. It's different when you're running routes because you know where you're going. When you're a DB, you're reacting to everything. And, dude, that's going to be a tough reintroduction into the nature of the job. Game 1 back covering T. Higgins, and probably sometimes you're going to have to cover Jamar Chase. You're not going to be able to follow him everywhere if you're PS2. Before we move off the Broncos, I just want to say, the Broncos are 9-6. That wasn't a great game, but how great is it that the Broncos are in this position at the end of the season in Sean Payton's 2nd year, after Vegas thought they were going to be 5.5 win team, after PFF thought they had the worst roster in the league. Literally the worst roster in the league.
Yeah.
Broncos playing pretty darn good football late into the December. So let's be thankful for that. And I want to move around the NFL really quick before we get to another topic. And that's, I want to talk about Travis Hunter deleting his Instagram because of all the hate he's getting online. But before we get into that, little trip around the league. The Chiefs did beat the Texans to go to 14-1. We talked about that Tank Dell injury, and the Ravens did beat the Steelers. Falcons, Michael Penix Jr., 34-7 over the Giants.
He didn't have to do a lot because they ran the ball all over him. I watched a good chunk of that game, but he was still decisive with the ball and hitting Drake London and hitting Darnell Mooney and was solid.
Yeah. Clearly, though, like when that happens, you're like, all right, Kirk, who after that?
If their cap is so screwed because of that move.
Yeah.
No matter what they do.
Is it kind of like Russell Wilson screwed, or like?
Yeah, maybe even worse, actually.
Really? All right, and
a lot of dead money.
The Lions moved to 13-2 by dismantling the Bears. Bears and Caleb Williams haven't won since like September or something like that.
And
It's
he
crazy.
looked okay at times too.
26 of 40, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and ran the ball 6 times for 34 yards. But that's a lot of throwing,
Mhm.
But I guess they were behind. They had to catch up there.
I made some money this weekend.
You made some?
I did.
Congrats.
You want to guess what underdog I took on the money line? And I took them live.
The Commanders.
You saw it on Twitter. You're so no fun.
You said you want to guess?
You are
I
literally
guess.
so no
Is it
fun.
a guess?
I guess the Commanders.
He's right. He saw it on Twitter.
Okay.
But I took them live when they were down, and I actually wanted to take them when they were down by more, but then the book locked me out because
Oh.
right before I was about to place it, they scored again.
Why did you think they were going to come back when they were down?
Kenny Pickett.
Oh, Kenny
Well,
Pickett came in.
That's one of them. But I actually, if those that follow me on all my platforms know that I did a FanDuel Instagram live and actually told people that I was taking the Commanders plus 3.5 and on the money line. And my reason for that was the fact that one, this game meant a whole lot more to the Commanders than it did to the Eagles, just with the playoff implications. But also, even last season, without Jaden Daniels, with a Commanders team that was kind of on the rise but not there yet, these Commanders-Eagles games were far too close and competitive. Like, they always feel like they're just back and forth. And I just felt like the Commanders, they've been riding on a little bit of a high with their rookie quarterback, who is exceptional. And then once I saw that there was no Jalen Hurts anymore, I was like, yeah, I'm taking them. So I took them at plus 255, I believe, live on the money line, and I put 50 on it, and I
Wow.
walked away with some cash.
What'd you walk away with?
I think it was like 177.
Good job, Liv.
Can't go broke making a profit.
Jaden Daniels threw for 5 touchdowns. Did he
The
lock
rookie,
up?
the rookie of the year thing. I
It's
remember
locked up.
when I saw his stats.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
done.
watched a bunch of that
It's
game.
done.
Because I had Terry McLaurin in one of my fantasy playoffs. So I was like, just keep throwing it.
9 carries for 81 yards.
My
too.
Bo Nix offensive rookie of the year ticket is
Yeah, mine is.
gone.
Mine was burning.
Dunzo. It's not happening.
What if he outduels Joe Burrow, throws 4 touchdowns, and then comes back here and beats the Chiefs?
Will be a nationally televised game. They're going to be in a standalone window.
I mean,
again.
yeah, but I still at this point think, Jaden Daniels literally with seconds on the clock
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive.
managed to put his team ahead of a Super
for
Bowl
the
contender
third
right
time
now.
this year.
For the third time. Like, he just, I think it's pretty much, it's signed, sealed, delivered at this point. And not that it wasn't before. I just think Bo Nix there for a little bit. The race got tight. I think Bo Nix was kind of on Jaden Daniels' tail for offensive rookie of the year. But after watching the Thursday night football game and just the fact that the Broncos offense could not do anything in the second half, and then you watch Jaden Daniels upset the Eagles in the final seconds of a game. And the Eagles, I would argue right now, are a Super Bowl contending team. Now, I want to also say this because my producer for the Debo show, he is a huge Eagles fan to the point where it's like,
Annoying.
cut it out. And I told him that I thought that the Commanders were going to upset the Eagles. And he's like, yeah, no way, whatever. Now we're tapping into all the narratives, which I knew it was coming. If we had Jalen Hurts, they definitely would have won. And I texted him back and said, I guess we'll never know. We will never know that because Jalen Hurts did not finish that game and the Eagles did not win that game. So I was very, very excited for the Commanders, mostly because I put money on them. But
Weird.
But yeah, I like this Commanders team a lot. And
Yeah.
I think for whatever reason, whenever they play the Eagles, it's just far too competitive. And I kind of expected that. And I was glad I placed the bet.
Yep. Jaden
Yeah,
Daniels, straight balling.
And Cliff Kingsbury called a good game, especially late.
He's had a great season as a coordinator after getting canned by the Cardinals.
His name's in the mix, certainly with the Bears because of the Caleb Williams thing. And maybe he was playing chess last year when he not only had the Bears come to him, he didn't seem that interested in the job because he had just been working at USC with Caleb Williams as a consultant quarterback, whatever his job title was. But he ends up going with Dan Quinn to call the offense in Washington. Maybe part of it is to work with Daniels, but also knowing that Eberflus might be getting fired anyway. So if you come in and take that job, you're looking for another job in a year anyhow. And now he and I think Ben Johnson are going to be squarely in that mix along with probably Mike Vrabel, who's expressed through people that he would like that job as well.
Yep. Also, the Colts beat the Titans 38-30. I want to give props to what's that?
Fun game.
Yeah, fun game. And Jonathan Taylor, who was, the butt of everyone's joke the previous week, 29 carries, 218 yards, 3 touchdowns. Does that make up for his boneheaded play?
So every week I have to pick like anytime touchdown scores for every game, and immediately without even looking, I put down Jonathan Taylor for that matchup because I was like, he is obviously feeling some type of way about what happened in the Broncos game and against the Broncos. And some could argue that he lost the game for the Colts. I would not go that far, but I think there's a lot of people that felt that way. So I knew in a game like this, Jonathan Taylor was going to silence the haters a little bit and be like, I'm still here. I'm still your guy. Try to make him forget, basically. And he did just that. So that
shows that the rest of his team believes in him and cares about him
100%.
and wanted him to do that too.
Yes.
Because they blocked for him. You know, you don't just run for 200 yards in the NFL by yourself.
Yeah. I think he definitely had the support of his team. I mean, they know Jonathan Taylor better than the rest of us.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm sure just like he was feeling some type of way about what happened, I'm sure they also felt some type of way about what happened in more of a supportive sense, not like why did he do that? But in the sense that like, he, you know, it's again, sports fans get short-term memory. It's what we do.
Oh yeah.
You know, we
every
don't,
week it's like
we ride the highs with the most excitement, and then the second there's a low involved, we all of a sudden forget about the highs. So that's normal. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor, I knew he was going to pop off a little bit, hoping to try to get people to shut their mouths.
And then the Rams beat the Jets.
That was an ugly game.
Proved the 9-6 and sole first place in the NFC West, and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets fall to
I love it. I really
4-11.
do.
Have you been watching Enigma, though, the Netflix special on Aaron Rodgers, the 3-part docuseries on all things Aaron Rodgers?
Can I be honest?
Yeah. You'd rather
no, this is no judgment. And I'm sure the Netflix documentary on all things Aaron Rodgers is extremely insightful, and you can learn a lot about who he is as a person, and maybe it makes him a little more likable. I just don't have the desire to find out. I really don't. We actually turned it on the TV for just a little bit. And you know what I think it is about Aaron Rodgers, amongst many other things, but I really struggle being around people that constantly sound like they're on a soapbox, like they're preaching at all times. It's like, can we just have a conversation? And Aaron Rodgers just has that energy about him that's very like, my word is God's word. And I do, like, the second that show started, I was like, shut it down.
Oh, you didn't give it a shot, huh?
I did for about 10-15 minutes, and then I just said, can we please change this? Like, I just don't have any flipping desire. Because I think in some ways that show is going to be his attempt to try to save face and make himself likable. And at this point, in my opinion, there's been enough said by Aaron Rodgers out of his own mouth that to me, it's too far gone. Like, I don't think a Netflix documentary is going to change how I feel about Rodgers, because I think he's a master manipulator when it comes to media. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And this documentary, in my opinion, is just a way for him to reclaim on his way out of the NFL, because I think that's coming soon. He's got this like freaking downhill spiral kind of forming, and I think the Netflix documentary is a way to be like,
well, I think he thought,
human.
I think he thought it was going to be released while he was on this playoff run. I mean, it was obviously in production. You know, they filmed it last year when he was rehabbing from his age.
I guess that's true. They didn't film it right now.
Achilles. So he thought it was going to come out now, and they were going to be on their way to the Super Bowl, and people were going to be watching it as he was winning playoff games.
Yeah, you know, I really think, like, in so many ways, you know, the true football fans, of course, the Packers fans, any Aaron Rodgers fans, know how exceptional he's been in this league and all the amazing things that he's done. But I think he needs to pack it up before it's too late. Because I think, again, fans have short-term memory, and you don't want to go out sad. You just don't want to go out sad. Like, when you're Aaron Rodgers and you've done a lot of great things, you don't want to go out sad.
But it's also hard to walk away, because
of course,
I watched two of the 3 episodes. I still have the last one to go. And that's like the COVID one and all that. But he talked about how his most comfortable identity is that of football player. As much as he, acts like he does all these things, politics, it's really the football player that he's most comfortable with. And for guys like that, like, it's really hard to walk away.
But here's where the master manipulation of the media comes into play. How many times has that man flirted with retirement, and he was never serious about it?
But Tom Brady did the same thing.
His
Brett Favre did the same
his
thing.
predecessor, Brett Favre.
But I think in a sense, and yes, you're right, that does happen across the league. It's not like Rodgers is the only person pulling the retirement card. We see LeBron James do it every other season, especially after a losing season. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be doing this. And
Yesterday, he was 28 of 42, 256 yards and a touchdown, no picks.
Is that good?
The one time he was sacked, he fumbled, and I thought his leg was going to get snapped off the way he
We only
reacted.
managed
But then
9
he kept
points.
playing.
Only managed 9 points.
Yeah, their
zero,
offense wasn't good.
0 in the
I
second
just
half.
think again, and this is just how I feel about him personally. I just think he knows exactly what he's doing. And every time I see him in believe it or not, I see him lately in more headlines for non-football things than I do for football things. So if football really is his entire identity, then he shouldn't have ever tapped into the other things, because I think it clouded that. Like, there were times he would be on the Pat McAfee show talking about things that weren't football related.
He's still doing that.
Correct. So that's why
He's
it's
got,
hard
like,
for
a
me to
little beef.
buy that football is his, whatever. I think he loves
Likes the
attention.
Yeah.
And being a football player, and a good one, and especially a quarterback in the NFL, you get a lot of damn attention.
The only
I
way
think that's what he likes.
Yeah, the only way you're going to get close to that level of attention, if you will, is to be on TV some way every week, whether that's calling games
And now he's doing both.
in the studio, doing a show, doing a
Pat
podcast.
McAfee, and he's got the Netflix, and he's playing games.
Right, but once he's not playing games, because you look at the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Tom Brady is on TV every week, and that's why we see him. And with social media, you can be out there as much as you want, but we don't see Joe Montana very much.
You don't see Brett Favre.
Don't see Brett Favre unless it's
Caught up in some crap.
Well, and I
Yeah.
know we're in a new era of just like media in general, because I co-host a show with an active player in the NFL. So
we have one here
I
too
get
called
it.
We're the Harrises that comes
Yes.
out every
So I
Wednesday.
get that, but I think that's the other piece of it too that's just interesting. And this is just as we enter this new era of media with sports, it's just very interesting to see a job that we do full time that we know requires a lot of work. And of course, for these athletes, like, most of it's just talking about themselves, so they don't have to like research and study and whatever. But it's just interesting to see how often these like active players are on TV or popping on a podcast. It's just the era that we're in. So we have more access to their brain and what they think. And I think sometimes I don't want to know what's in Aaron Rodgers' brain.
I
Keep that
But you look,
close
and I still
up.
think he's an upgrade in a lot of places.
For the Jets.
No. Well,
No, as
the
a
Jets want him
quarterback
back.
next year. He wants to see him keep playing.
I just
for a
want to see him.
different team.
I'd like this. If you can separate, it's sort of like an artist you may not like. My wife doesn't care much for Michael Jackson, but can you separate the artist from the art? Can you separate the player from the person? And because we talk about that, you have a hard time doing that in general.
Yeah, I do.
But if he was in a better situation with a better play caller and different talent, I can't say better talent because he has a stud running back and 2 top 20 wide receivers with Adams and Wilson, and they're not getting Wilson the ball. Ulbrich said that post game, but he's better than Bryce Young right now. I don't know if he's better than Kyler. He's better than Brock Purdy. Certainly better than whatever the Saints are going to throw out there. And even you're going to talk
Is he
about,
better than Brock Purdy right now? I mean, I think the Niners want to sign Brock Purdy to a long-term deal.
yeah, but they want it to be team friendly. He's better than whatever the Giants have going on.
But I also think
the
you've
Giants
gotta
and Raiders
think
are gonna
about-
draft quarterbacks.
If
So
you're going to pay Aaron Rodgers
he's
again,
better
that's
than
an
Tennessee.
investment, and he's getting older.
He's 40. He's going to be 41.
I think the contract's going to be way more team friendly, like Baker Mayfield, $30 million with a bunch of incentives. Hey, a couple million, you win the division, a couple million if you make the Pro Bowl, a couple million if you lead the league in passing. So you're not.
I just
You're
feel like
incentivizing it.
every time I read something that pops up on my phone, it's like Jets are uncertain about quarterback move. And then Aaron Rodgers is now on the Pat McAfee show being like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do next year. It's just like, it's always something. It just feels like very calculated sometimes. And I don't know. Again, this is just how I feel. I've always just been bugged by him for a very long time. That does not mean that he's not a great quarterback. I mean, he is, but I just...
I mean,
the media manipulate. I just think he loves attention.
Of
That's
course,
it.
of course.
That's
But
it.
but
It's
you're, no
just-
matter what you're doing, unless he can create a Pat McAfee type show of his own, Joe
Right.
Rogan type show of his own, where you're putting something out every. I was saying you're putting
No,
something
I
out
know
every
it's
day.
funny, dude. It's
It-
funny.
it is funny, but Joe Rogan, it's a new media that.
But
we
would
live
you
in.
listen to 4 hours of Aaron Rodgers? every day?
I personally would. I'm
Would
not saying-
anyone?
I don't know.
Would anyone out there like to listen to an Aaron Rodgers podcast where he just talked for 3 hours or interviewed guests?
Because some of the other people you're talking, and Joe Rogan, full blown stand up comedian for a long time.
Not
So-
a very good one though.
But the point is, he's been doing that. Theo Vaughn, who has a huge following,
He is hilarious.
a stand-up comedian,
Yeah, he's
really funny.
He's so
Pat
funny.
McAfee,
Joe
for all
Rogan's
of
not
his
funny. He has interesting conversations, right?
now, but I think he still has that.
Have
club
you
in his
ever
bag.
laughed at one of his jokes?
I guess I don't know. If
I
I've
saw
watched
Joe
enough
Rogan
stand-up.
in person, and I don't think he's a funny stand-up comic. I think he has interesting conversations, interesting guests, but I don't think he's like funny.
Yeah, I'm not confusing him with Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle or
Right.
Jerry Seinfeld or Bill Burr.
But
any of
he
those guys.
confuses himself with them.
Well, because people come to see his sold out comedy shows at Comedy Works or wherever he's playing.
No, he's got his own comedy club
But
called the Mothership in Austin.
Okay, but even Pat McAfee is very entertaining.
He was a stand-up comic.
Yeah, and has that.
He's got some
but
funny
there's a lot of person.
energy.
Aaron doesn't have that personality. So in order to see him all the time, he's gonna have to be on a show with someone who's entertaining and or be on TV on the desk or at games, and it's still not the same level of attention.
Right.
There's an appreciation for how great a quarterback he's been and the MVPs and the gold jackets coming and all that. And even with his career ending the way it is, or the way Kirk Cousins' career's ending, or Matt Ryan, or like I don't think any less of Matt Ryan when I watch him on TV because he had a crappy year with the Colts and it wasn't great at the end with the Falcons. I still remember he was a league MVP. And so Rodgers talking about football is interesting. Rodgers talking about like if he's going to do an afternoon show like the Drew Barrymore show or Jennifer Hudson show. I have no
Aaron
interest.
Rodgers talking about the drones over New Jersey. Maybe not as.
I'm not saying there's not an audience for it. I just don't.
Are you
know.
the audience? Because
No, I don't think I am. But
there's a reason why he goes on Pat McAfee. It's a friendly show for him.
Of course.
I would love to see him go and push back on these shows he talks shit on. Like go on First Take and push back.
Go on with Ryan Clark.
Go on with Ryan Clark.
But I think he's scared to do that because he knows on the Pat McAfee show, they're his little cheerleaders.
There's buddies. AJ Hawks'
They love
teammate.
him. They'll support whatever he does and says. So he feels safe and comfortable there. In the same ways that I think even as a quarterback in the NFL, he kind of wants things his way.
Oh,
I don't think Aaron Rodgers likes being pushed back on. I don't think Aaron Rodgers likes being wrong. I don't think Aaron Rodgers likes to have people that disagree with him around him in his circle. So I think that's why we see him on Pat McAfee is because they're friends. So he's supported in almost everything that he says and does. And I don't think he would ever go on camera against Ryan Clark. He doesn't want to be read for filth.
Right. You don't want that smoke.
I mean, honestly, I think he's going to avoid that at all costs. So that's where my thing is. I feel like he can sometimes be a little wishy-washy.
But just, will we see him play football next year? I think we will.
I think we will as well. But one thing we know for sure is Liv won't be watching Enigma, the 3-part docuseries.
Probably not.
There's so many other
On
things
Netflix.
out there that I want to watch.
Yeah, like crime documentaries, that's my jam right there. Like I don't need to know about his time in those retreats and whatever else. Like I'm good.
They showed some stuff from those retreats. Jordan Poyer, the safety, was there. And
I
then
saw a couple
Von
clips
Miller
on
was there.
social media.
Von Miller was there, like putting mud on his face in the river after an ayahuasca ceremony.
Listen, I'm not even like I'm really not trying to be disrespectful to the documentary at all. It's not going to be a show that I turn on my TV for sure.
He'll not behind your list.
Alex Smith saying, "Give me my updates, please." What updates do you want, Alex? We're just talking ball here. We've been doing it for the last hour. Also, I want to throw up there was someone asking Nate, should they ban the baseball slide? It's up there a little bit. It's in all caps. Yeah, they should. The NFL should get rid of the quarterback slide rule. It continues to not only make quarterbacks' heads bounce off the turf, but create these sort of nebulous moments in the game where the defensive player can't stop himself and the refs call penalties that shouldn't exist. I think the quarterbacks use it to their advantage.
That's what happened yesterday. I can't remember the game, but quarterback slides, goes like this. The ref's like,
yeah,
because he did. He got hit in the head. He got an elbow to the head.
Take it out of the game. If you want to protect the quarterbacks, you should take that out of the game. That doesn't protect quarterbacks. It also creates some weird rules and guys using it to their advantage. And then, like I said, quarterbacks' heads bouncing off the turf. The worst quarterback hits you see are on those plays.
Because if they slide head first, no one's diving to meet their head at the ground. Not no one, but in general.
No.
Versus as they're sliding in that drop.
Because you're still upright.
Yeah, you're upright.
And you're like, oh, I got to hit him. He's presenting his body to hit.
And your launch point was at his waist. And once he's sitting on his butt or sliding, his head is now where his waist was. Versus if he's diving head first, you're just touching his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then that's up to the officials to decide where did he start the jump? Where was the ball marked? Where did his knee hit? Any of that?
Yeah.
But that puts it back on the officials and takes the player's liability out defensively and probably does protect the. Is a guy going to get a concussion because someone's going to fly down and there's going to be helmet to helmet in that case, or a knee to the helmet or a shoulder? Yes. But you can also protect yourself more because you can see it. I don't know. Either way, I'm with you. I used to not be, or I used to think it was overblown, but now I think I'm there.
Oh, thanks, BK. Could you scroll down so we can see those new comments, just in case there was anything else? But okay, before we get out of here, I do want to talk about this one thing, because Travis Hunter just won the Heisman. He's the best college football player in the country, and he's dealing with all sorts of crap online. We talked about this the last couple of weeks, Liv, his girlfriend or his fiance, and the stuff that she was getting, and then she, being accused of not supporting her man and all that, and then she had to go do a long video explaining why she does what she does, and now all these old videos are being surfaced and all these accusations about her infidelity.
Throwing it in a circle on a rapper, yeah.
Throwing it in a circle on a rapper, and now Travis Hunter has deleted his Instagram.
But he was dunking the ball up in Boulder. That was cool.
What's that?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, what an athlete, right? But now he's got to deal with all this off the field crap.
Yeah.
And Des Bryant, did you see what he said?
What's that?
Did you see what Des Bryant said?
No.
He basically told him to break up with her.
Well, yeah. So hearing all that crap online, as someone who works in social media and actually is very active in social media, what are your thoughts on what's going on around him and his deleting of his Instagram?
I would like to think it's him creating some healthy boundaries with himself and fans. What I worry about and what I fear is exactly what's going to happen is there have been multiple, and this is the problem, there have been multiple situations that have been able to be used against his fiance. In my opinion, where there's smoke, there's typically fire. And so you see a lot of these football players' wives or girlfriends that aren't the center of conversation because they are not getting caught in compromising positions. So I'm not saying that she is fully in the wrong. I did watch her explanation video, and I think she articulated her feelings very, very well, and it felt very genuine. However, now there's new videos that are resurfacing, and it does just kind of make you go, okay, why is there so many things that people can pull of you that are now being used against you? Like, that's where it gets tricky, because I think you can say, hey, that was forever ago, or hey, but the more explanation videos you have to post, it's proving everybody's point, which is Travis doesn't need to be dealing with this. He's got a lot of other things he should be worried about. And it shouldn't be, hey, how many more videos can I expect are going to come out of you that I'm going to have to do damage control on? But what I fear is going to happen is he's going to delete his Instagram. And then when he's going to come back, it's going to be the fans and the people that have talked about his relationship. It's going to be their fault, not hers. He's going to say, I deleted my Instagram because you guys wouldn't leave her alone. You wouldn't leave me alone. You kept talking about our relationship.
I mean,
it is, but at the same time, like, if where there's smoke, there's fire. And if there's stuff that's going on behind closed doors, like, I'm not sure you should be mad at the people that are just bringing it to your attention.
We don't know what their relationship is like. Like,
that's fair.
She talked about how he knew she was partying. He dropped her off and hung out in the car while she was partying.
But can I just say, in her explanation video that I did feel was very genuine, she started the video by saying the reason he wasn't my type is because he was cheating on his girlfriend and he was DMing me. Like, why are you doing this to this man? Like, that is not our business.
Right.
You don't need to share that part of the story. Like, no. To me, you're trying to get yourself out of trouble by giving us a new piece of information about Travis Hunter that none of us needed to know. And quite frankly, it only makes him look worse. He's already got people breathing down his neck saying, dude, you should not be with this woman. And now this woman's making an explanation video to exonerate herself by throwing him under the bus. So that's where I'm like, again, we don't know their relationship. And quite frankly, it's none of my business. And I actually don't really care that much about what is going on between them. But it just feels like he's been in a very short amount of time when it should be a very positive time for him and he should be celebrating a lot of things. All these things are coming out and she's the center of them. And again, where there's smoke, there's fire. So I don't know. I hated the way she started that apology or that explanation video by saying,
throwing him under the bus.
I'm not sure what your guys' type is, but my type certainly isn't cheaters.
Yeah.
So I didn't respond to him and I let him sit in my DMs. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, I thought you were supposed to make you guys look like a better couple. That did not do that. So I don't know. I'm sure he did delete it because he was just sick of seeing it and hearing about it. And I'm glad he's protecting his peace.
Yeah.
But I think there's people that have lived through what he's about to live through, which is being a hot commodity and going to that next level. And I think I think a lot of people, the Des Bryants, the whoever's that are giving him warning are coming from a good place because they've been there, done that. But it's also not their place to necessarily talk about it. So I really do see both sides, but I think she's got some stuff she needs to, and maybe she just needs to delete her social media.
Both of them, just delete them all.
Just, you know what? And Travis Hunter, I would say activate yours again, but she doesn't need to be putting herself out there
I'd say Travis don't.
at this point.
I'd say
No,
Travis.
I agree, but
Just
I'm
don't,
sure he
because
will.
why do you need it? Why do you your talent is playing football, and everyone knows how good you are at it.
Right.
Don't feel like you got to promote yourself on social media. Don't worry about your brand. Don't worry about the Heat 12-man thing. Like, you won the Heisman, that's done. All you got to do now is prepare for the draft and go keep playing good football. The only thing that could derail you is mental. The only thing that can derail you is this crap online. Delete it all. Delete it all and just go back to work.
And it's tough because this is a guy that sits in footy pajamas and just plays video games at home and is just
He's
and
probably
just
still
kind
going
of
to do that because that's a
and
pretty
just kind
friendly
of keeps
space.
to himself. And then you've got these videos of your woman. He may have known about them prior to us seeing them and them getting leaked or whatever, but it's like, it seems like they're very different people. And so I think that's also too where people are like, Travis, you used to drop her off at house parties. She would go inside all dolled up and go party with people, and you sat in the car and waited for her.
He
Like,
might have
doing?
it's just
anxiety,
like,
you know? He might
and
not.
maybe he does, but I think when you start playing the addition game, that's when people are like, okay, if you have to explain your way out of every thing that comes out, I think that's where people are like, okay, what's really going on here? But again, if Travis Hunter wants to be with her, then that is not our place to tell him otherwise. Like, we don't know this woman, and we certainly don't know Travis Hunter in the way that she probably knows him. So it's not our place, but I do think some of those warnings are coming from a good place of, hey, Travis, you don't know what this next phase of your life is going to look like, but we've done it. So here's some things to think about.
Real quick, and I know you had this, but I also just wanted everyone's take on the first round of the college football playoff, because the games were kind of duds, but having those games on campuses, I thought was really cool in December, to see Notre Dame, to see Ohio State, to see Penn State. I thought it was cool, and I understand that people are mad about how the games played out and who's deserving versus who the best teams are and all of that. That's not the debate I want to have, but just the idea of it, and now knowing there's still multiple rounds to go is exciting.
I'm excited.
Did you watch any of them?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Easy
I'm
highlights?
sorry,
I
man.
mean, they were all blowouts, but
Yeah, they weren't great games, right?
the Ohio State game was close for a bit,
Yeah.
or it got closer after it was 21.
Ohio State, what was it, 42-10 at the end of it?
and Clemson tried to make a run to make it 31-17, but Texas was just better than Clemson. I think we'll see much better games this round.
I just wish CU was in it.
It would have been cool.
That would have been a lot more fun.
It would have been cool for sure.
Well, you know,
I think it's a good idea that is being executed well.
yeah. Well, and we got several more weeks of it, right? As well. When is the culmination? When is the national
January 20th,
Oh, January 20th,
which is, I believe,
inauguration day,
It's my birthday.
let me double check that.
and my father's birthday.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that was
But
a
I feel
fun
like that's
show.
a Monday night, because the Monday before is the first NFL playoff weekend Monday night game. Sorry, 20th.
When you are thinking of things to say, are you also listening to what others are saying?
Yeah, so that was a fun show. I was just giving you a correct answer. I want to make sure we were.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm Nate Jackson. This is Brandon Krysztal. She's Liv Moods. We are Off Field Guerrilla Sports. Merry Christmas, you guys. Happy holidays. I hope you enjoy yourselves. We'll see you guys next time. Adios.